Welcome to Tech Tip Tuesday from Sep2. I'm Paul Starr and James joins me today, and we're going to have a brief discussion about mobile security.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'm James Woodward. I'm part of the pre-sales team here at Sep2. So, Paul, mobile security, that's quite a broad term, covers a variety of different events. But when you hear those words, what does it mean to you?
For me, I think there's two parts to this. There's both a corporate and a personal level that I'm interested in. Anyway, performing a CISO role, I'm hugely concerned with mobile security in the workplace. With people wanting to connect all the time and needing access to corporate resources on mobile devices, which are both company owned or BYOD, we need to know that those users are protected all of the time.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I mean, these devices are increasingly becoming the prime target for an attacker. Just as an example, we're hearing about more and more password breaches that are happening all the time. And we're constantly being encouraged to enable two-factor authentication on both our corporate as well as personal accounts. But then what do we use for that two-factor authentication? Most of the time, it can be token codes or SMS messages that are received on our mobile phones.
Absolutely, James. And then that kind of leads into that personal security side that I'm concerned with. As we've already said, like users are accessing corporate resources, but when we consider what our mobile devices actually contain and hold, I mean, it has information on every single call you make, every call you receive, images, messages, your banking, your social media. I mean, the list just goes on. It is arguably to say that the phone probably knows more about me than I do. And I think that's why, Pegasus spyware was so scary, especially when we consider the way that some of the users were tricked into clicking a link. I mean, if the device doesn't do anything after you've clicked that link, I think most users would just move on and ignore it. Or even scarier were the zero-click exploits that we know were to be used, allowing for like spyware to be just covertly installed. And then the threat actor has entire access to your life, both business and personal. And therefore, I think it just becomes so important these devices are protected.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the fact that we know that the Pegasus malware has been sold for hundreds of millions of dollars to state parties and other nefarious actors just shows that the value of the data that can be gathered from your mobile device. If you look at some of the most trusted apps on our endpoints, things like WhatsApp or Telegram, which are being used by people to ensure that their communication is encrypted end to end to try and stop themselves being spied on. Um, that is now accessible to them. I think that obviously the most shocking thing here is that these are the vectors that we found out about. So what is still lurking out there that's undetected?
I think that's so true, James. And I think the other thing that we're also seeing from so many people or from the users is demanding of BYOD. People want to use their personal devices in the workplace. They don't want to have multiple devices all of the time. So how do we, isolate that corporate and that personal data, especially when users also want to use native apps?
Yeah, exactly. So you have that data intermingling on the devices. There is no separation now. In one app, you'll have a folder with your personal email in, a folder with your business email in, and that's just how the nature of how people are working these days.
I think this conversation just highlights, mobile security is so broad and complex, and I don't think we can just cover everything off in this brief conversation. And I would also say I don't think there's a single solution for anyone.
Yeah, definitely. But what is important is that it's a field that can't be ignored anymore, and definitely should form part of your a cohesive cybersecurity strategy for any organization.
So I would encourage anyone that's interested in learn more about what can be done with protecting mobile devices to reach out to us at sep2.co.uk.
Definitely. Thanks for your time today, everyone. Stay safe.